Hey, what's up everybody? Retro Gaming Guy here. Today in this video, we're going to jump in and check out the Peladn WO-4 mini PC that I just got off of Amazon. So this looks pretty impressive, but we of course have to do a full unboxing, see what the layout and design is like, and then do a full performance review. So we'll jump into a bunch of different games and game collections, see how everything performs on here, so we know exactly what this is capable in the end. But those specs do look impressive. We have an AMD Ryzen 5 5500U processor. That's 6 cores, 12 threads, up to 4 gigahertz, 16 gigabyte DDR4 RAM, and a 512 gigabyte NVMe SSD installed within, running Windows 11 Pro. So let's dive into it and see what this has to offer. All right, guys, here is the box. Looks pretty sharp here. And I assume this is WO. It might be just WO, but I like the way Peladn WO sounds. So I'm going to go with the WO-4 for this one. But let's unbox this. Let's see what we've got inside. Definitely like the graphics on the packaging here. And Peladn always does a great job of keeping everything safe and secure within, always well padded as well. So let's see if we can get this to slide out. There we go. And all of the specs are listed on the back side, which is always a nice touch. All right, so let's do the slow reveal here. All right, so we've got a manual right on the top. Let's thumb through that really quickly. So it walks through the layout and where all of our ports are, what each of them are capable of. Also, how we would mount this if we wanted to mount it to like the back side of a monitor, just as an example. You could, of course, do much more than that, but it is in a couple different languages, it seems. So pretty basic information within, but it covers what you need it to cover on here and in different languages. So what is nice about that, though, is it's not just a generic, manual that goes in every single mini PC that they make. It is specific to this particular model, so that's a nice addition to things. So here is our mount. So if we wanted to mount this to the backside of a monitor, very easy to do that here. We can also use this to mount to the inside of a desk, the outside of a desk, within an arcade cabinet. If you want to use this mini PC to mod a cabinet, whether it's an arcade 1-up or just a regular old school arcade cabinet, that's always good. We have a regular HDMI cable included. We have our power supply cable right here, which I'm going to open up because we'll certainly need that. We also have the mounting screws here for the mount. And then we also have a connection here. If we wanted to bring in an additional SSD into the mix here, you would actually attach this internally. And you can see we have our SATA connection on the end of this. So you don't have to use this, but it is always good to install this if you do find that you're going to bring another SSD into the mix. So we'll go ahead and actually take a look at the mini PC now. All right, so color scheme on here actually looks really nice. I'm going to peel this back. I just want to make sure it's just on the front. It is. Okay, cool. So I'll actually just peel it back a little bit here, and then I'm going to put it back over because I always like to preserve these. And look how nice and glossy that looks. I mean, I'm getting a glare off of literally everything here, which is a pain for me, but it shows you how nicely polished and seamless that looks in the front there. So really a nice front panel. I love the orange button there and the orange line across the bottom. It's just a nice aesthetic on here. So we obviously have, and I'll just put this back for right now, we have our power button over here. Good action on that. I've talked about power buttons a lot, and people always say, why do you care so much about power buttons? Well, I've seen a lot of mini PCs that, believe it or not, have terrible power buttons. So this one, very responsive. You can hear the clicks on there. Some of them actually, the latest B-Link, I was having an issue where it was getting slid underneath. If you didn't hit it like dead on, it would actually slide underneath the edge of the front panel there. So it wasn't a major issue really, but not a deal breaker, but it was annoying that it would always kind of slide off track. But this is a good one. 2 USB 3 ports right here, a Type-C port, headphone jack right here in the front. So those are always nice to have right in the front, especially for gamers, because I find that, especially myself, but most gamers will use different ports for wired cables for controllers and stuff like that. Like for an N64 game, I like to bring in an N64 wired controller. GameCube, I like to bring in a GameCube controller. Everything else, for the most part, I'll just use a generic wireless controller. But for those specific collections, I do like to have, a old school controller that is very much aligned with, what the original would be. So great airflow on both sides of this. You can see we have the ventilation. Now let's flip this all the way over to the back. The top doesn't have anything. This is kind of a just a generic top to it, but no airflow up here or anything, but it does have a nice contrast from the bluish side panels. Back side, we have ventilation in the back, of course. We have 2 regular USB ports. We have a display port HDMI port over here, and then we also have 2 Ethernet ports, and then right here is where our power supply cable will attach. So I can bring that over, and that plugs in right there, just like that. Very easy to use. Nothing on either side, just the ventilation. But let's flip this over to the bottom. So we do have additional airflow here, and I can actually see the cooling fan all the way through there. We have 4 non-skid strips there for just keeping this secure in place. And let's see, it does secure very nicely in here. I can't really slide this across any surface, so we don't have to worry about this sliding off and potentially getting any damage. 2 screw holes right here are for our mount, which we have right here. And then we have 4 screws on the outside to actually open this up. And we are going to open this up so we can actually take a peek inside, see what this has to offer us in terms of bringing in some additional components into the mix. If we wanted to, again, install an SSD, we could use this. But let's see how we would use that internally. All right, we got our bottom panel off, and you can see it opens right up here. So it's not the easiest, in all honesty, to access everything. We have the cooling fan located right here, but we would have to actually remove that and open everything up a little bit more to access everything internally. You can see no room to actually, the way it is right now anyways, to add additional SSDs. Or to make any sort of adjustment or customization to the RAM. So we would have to dive further into this, and we can do that. There's actually 4 more screws in here that we can remove. So we can go ahead and do that. So now that that has been removed, so now we can actually open this up. You have to be really careful though, because obviously there are some connections here that you do not want to rip out. But we could flip this around. We can make some additional connections here to bring in the additional SSD if we wanted to. That connection is right down here. But you can see it is pretty tight to work in here. And if you were a brute and you actually just kind of rip this off all willy-nilly, you could definitely do some damage to things within. So I won't say that it's the easiest to access everything within, but certainly is still possible. So I'm going to secure everything back in place, and I'm going to leave everything exactly as it is for the sake of this video here, but you can see exactly how everything would be accessible here. All right, so the best way to actually get everything back in place is to do the back side first, and then you can actually pull the front panel. It's got a little give here, so you can pull that out much easier than the back, which is a little bit more fixed because of all the cutouts back there. The front, there are cutouts, obviously, but they're much more aligned, like in a row there, not spread out. So did get it back in place. Not the easiest to get out and in, but we'll go ahead and secure all those screws back in place, and then we'll fire this up and test it out.
30. Game point.
Yeah, but that's going a little too far.
Look out! He's got some moves.
The Eagles take possession.
I'm the man with the plan.
First and 30.
Blue.
Hey!
Drops back. McNabb to Staley. And that was a nice pickup on the play.
Second
Here's
down.
the kick.
Hey!
Fades back. To his right. It's up.
Nailed it, baby! Touchdown!
Wow, that one really rung his bell. He's got some room. Denied by Richter. Murray takes a shot. Good save. It's a goal! The Rangers give themselves a 3-goal advantage.
In this league, you have to get your shots off quick. That's why the wrist shot's so valuable.
eliminated. Finish!
Eliminate? Chief, whatever you're planning to do it fast.
All right, guys, we just jumped out of the Peladn WO-4 mini PC, and it far exceeded my expectations at the end of the day. Now, I didn't expect it to be able to get into original Xbox emulation well. I figured we'd have some shortcomings there after combing through the specs. Same thing with Nintendo Switch and Wii U. I figured we would get into some games, but for the most part, it probably would fall a little short there. And I thought PS3 would be completely off the table for us. And it turns out I was wrong. Original Xbox performs very well on here. Now, you will have some limitations due to the emulator, but the titles that should work with the emulator do on this mini PC. Now, Wii U and Switch, very good experience. I won't say perfect. You will notice if you look very closely, there's a little hiccup here and there, but still very much enjoyable. Nothing that ruins the experience at all for those two collections. And then PS3. So PS3, again, I thought was not going to work at all for us. It turns out all the games that should work with the emulator do actually load up. Doesn't mean that it's going to be a perfect experience across the board. So we jumped into Virtua Tennis 4. Love that title. It performed very well. Almost perfect, in fact, but we tried to kick it up a few notches with some racing games, and that's where we found significant lags. Now, it wasn't significant in that, you know, the games are totally unplayable, but you do hit some points in the games and in the races specifically where it does kind of lag out and slow down considerably and could certainly ruin the experience for some. Still playable, but not that smooth performance I think we all desire. So for that reason, I wouldn't recommend this mini PC if you want to dive into an extensive amount of PS3 emulation, but everything prior to PS3 runs very well on here. So GameCube, Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, PS1 and 2, original Xbox, like I mentioned, Wii, Wii U, Switch, all that stuff runs very well on here. And then everything prior to that, classic arcade, Atari, Master System, Mega Drive, Genesis, Super Nintendo, NES, all that great stuff is going to have a phenomenal experience here. So if you want all of that to run well and you want to kind of test the waters out with PS3, and if you get lucky like I did with Virtua Tennis 4 and one of your favorite games actually works very well, then that would be kind of an added bonus. But I wouldn't get this if you're going to invest heavy on PS3, being a collection that runs smooth. So weigh out the pros and cons there, see if it lines up with what you're looking for. I don't typically mention the price points in my review videos, but I will say what the price is currently at the time of filming this video. Prices do fluctuate, so if it goes up or down, it's beyond my control. But at the time of this filming, the current price is $299 for the Peladn WO-4, and that's without any discounts or promos or sales or anything like that. So that's the retail price. So you could potentially get this for less if you hit a sale or a special deal from Peladn. So be on the lookout for that, because who doesn't want a discount if possible? But at the current price point, I think that with the performance that you get, it is a pretty good deal. I love the layout and design of this. I think that it offers all the ports and location of the ports where we would want them. We also have significant airflow on here, and the cooling is exceptional. So I jumped into games today for about 3.5 hours. In fact, I got lost in some of my favorite titles here, to be perfectly honest. That's why I gamed on this for so long. Usually I don't put in quite that much time on a mini PC like this, but did kind of get lost in a few titles. And at the end of my experience here, and that included, of course, testing out some games that definitely pushed this to the max, the PC was still very much cool. Nothing was, warmed up on this significantly. I would say that it barely, went up a couple degrees from when I started to when I finished. So very good airflow, very good cooling on this. Now, if you want access to everything internally, I did open everything up so you see what the process is like there. It's not the easiest mini PC to access everything internally on. So if you want to kind of make customizations or upgrades, it will be a little bit more of a challenge than some of the other options out there. But still at the end of the day, very well made, very reliable. I did try to jump into some AAA titles. Didn't have a great experience with that, so I wouldn't recommend AAA gaming on here. Forza 4 Horizon, I would say it's playable, but it's not a great experience. I did have intermittent lag with the steering, and that's why I was fishtailing quite a bit in the little racing segments that you saw here. Usually, I'm pretty on point, at least with that portion of the game, which is basically just the intro to it. I don't have those issues, so definitely felt like the lag kind of kicked in and out at random, which is never a great experience. And then Halo Infinite, you can see that just significant screen tearing, just totally unplayable here. So for emulation, this would be a solid option. The price point seems fair to me, but let me know what you guys think in the comments of this video. And if you want some additional information on what this mini PC has to offer, and you want to take a closer look at the specs and all that good stuff, see what it's currently selling for, then click the link up here at the top of your screen, as well as in the description of this video, and you'll jump right over, see all that good information laid out for you. So again, let me know what you guys think in the comments. That's going to do it for today, though. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the content today, please give me a thumbs up on the video. It's a huge help to me here on YouTube as I try to further grow the channel. And of course, hit subscribe to stay in the loop for all future videos right here on the Retro Gaming Guy YouTube channel. Thanks for the support. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.